Do you ever get stuck from sitting for too long, looking for some relief? Stick around. Hey, how's it going today? It's Coach Jerry with Biohacking Truth, where we help people find fulfillment through purpose. Now, whatever your obstruction is to finding ultimate fulfillment in life, whether it be pain in the body, excess weight, or just feeling lost, not really knowing what the next step is or where you want to end up in life, we've got your back. So today we're going to talk about low back pain, specifically low back pain caused by excess sitting. Now the thing about low back pain is there's a lot of videos out there telling you, how to correct low back pain, and they're giving you, maybe the 5 simplest or most effective exercises. But low back pain isn't something you can just throw into a bucket, right? Every instance of low back pain is its own little puzzle that we need to solve. And so as opposed to just throwing at you some of my favorite exercises, what we're going to do today is we're going to address a very common, very specific problem, and that is people that have desk jobs. Maybe they travel a lot, or maybe they don't. Maybe they got something going on with their spine that's causing stiffness in the low back when they sit too much. So this is what's known as a compression or a flexion intolerance for most people. If that's what's going on with you, you probably have one of those conditions. So there's a few things that we can do that don't take any time. You can really do them anywhere. You can do them in the office, you can do them at home, you can do them when you pull over for a rest stop while you're on the road. So just stick with me. We're just going to show you a few different relief postures that'll really help you avoid that sticking point when getting up from a chair. All right, so the first one we're going to show you is just the simplest one. You can do it right near your chair. You only have to take a moment or two away from your work and you just get right back to it. So as I come up from the chair, maybe I'm a little stoved up here, little forward hunch. Just going to externally rotate my palms and reach for the sky and extend my back as far as I can without letting my hips shoot forward, so we're maintaining the integrity in the hips. Really reach for the sky. Stretch those lats, stretch that side body. And sometimes it feels good to give a little side. Stretch that quadratus lumborum. Which is a deep intrinsic spinal muscle right around the pelvis area. I feel good. I've reversed this flexion pattern. Now I've got an extension. Feels good. I'm just going to memorize that as I take another seat. All right, so the next one we're going to show you here is called the McKenzie Press-Up. Now, one thing you want to be very careful with this one is that you're not just shoving yourself into a position. It's not about being in a position, it's about reversing flexion. Okay, flexion in the spine is like this, extension is like this. So when we're sitting, we're getting inflection, and not only are we sitting in flexion, but we're adding compression to it. So we're misaligning the spine, and then we're adding force to that. So that really increases the chance of us tightening up, creating taut muscles, which get lengthened and weakened. And because they're lengthened and weaken the body to stabilize the spine, it's going to tighten those muscle groups. So they might feel like they're really tight, but they're actually might be long. So we're gonna reverse this flexion through extension and just start out here, okay? So again, I'm not just pushing myself into here. If I just shove myself in here and I don't use my spinal muscles, I'm just creating excess compression and maybe some shear. So compression is just pressure downward. Shear is when the vertebrae get a little bit out of alignment, okay? When that happens, we start looking at degenerative disc disorders or disease. We start looking at creating things like spondylolisthesis, retrolisthesis, and that's when, your vertebrae slide forward or back. All right, so we really want to avoid that, and sitting is something that really can initiate the onset of something like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm just really focusing on my spinal muscles, particularly in my lumbar spine, which is in my lower back. And if I feel any pinching or crowding in my L5, S1 area, which is at the top of my pelvis, I'm just gonna back it off a little bit and then tune into those muscle groups. I'm gonna keep my hips on the floor. And when I feel ready, when I feel those muscles are turned on, I'm gonna go ahead and crease it. Exhale out. Keep the chin tucked until I feel those lumbar muscles grab, and then I'll go ahead and add a cervical extension. We're not going to poke the chin out, but we're going to free it up a little. So one thing you might really feel as you're going into that, you might feel like a lack of engagement in those lumbar spine muscles, but you also might feel excess tightening in your rectus abdominis, your abdominal muscle. Now, if that's the case for you, just spend a little more time in that regress version of the stretch where you're right here. Just spend a little more time and then maybe tune into the abdominal areas and say, hey, we need to stretch that out. Incorporate the opposite side so you've You've got, when you turn on one side, that's supposed to turn off the other side. So just focus on turning those on. So if your rectus abdominis, your abdominal muscles are overactive, they're turning on, that's a good indication that your spinal muscles might not be doing the job that they're supposed to do. All right, so this next one we're gonna show you is both a corrective and a relief position. All right, so this really gets the ball and sockets working. When we're in that seated position, we go into flexion. If we're typing, if we're reading, if we're texting, whatever the case may be, our thumbs turn in and we internally rotate our shoulders as well. You'll get this kind of look, right? So this one's good for combating that. This is also commonly referred to as the bird dog. Now, a little variation on this. A lot of people that do a bird dog have a fist with the palms facing upward, and that's creating an internal rotation of the shoulders. That's what we're trying to get away from. So this one, referred to as the horse stance in the Czech Institute, we're just gonna externally rotate our hands, put our thumbs towards the sky. Your toes can be pointed, depending on what you want to activate and stretch. I like to have the heels out because I find a lot of people have tight hamstrings, tight calves. And I'm just gonna hold that, and again, I'm just tuning in to my lower abdominal muscles. I'm tuning into my core, my inner unit, just making sure all that's turned on. The better my inner unit core is turned on, the more stable my spine is. Again, I got my thumb up, my shoulder externally rotated. You wanna make sure your hips and your shoulders are level. You wanna avoid any of this. We're not trying to show off and get that foot all the way to the sky, but it's just level here. If I were to lay a dowel rod across my back, creating a cross, one pointing that way and one pointing that way, they would stay level and stay on my back. All right, and the last one we're gonna go over here is a glute bridge or a hip bridge, commonly referred to as both. All right, so what this one's gonna do is it's gonna turn on those glute muscles. A lot of times they fall asleep when we're sitting too much, so we're just gonna wake those back up. So key considerations here, what I like to do is I like to have my shoulders set, and then I'm gonna use my heels of my feet to drive into my shoulders. My shoulders don't move, but I drive in and I create this shape with my lumbar spine here. So that's anti-flexion. We're going into extension there. So again, I'm creating shape with that lumbar as I use my heels to assist. Putting my sacral down fully, creating space in the lumbar, creating shape in the lumbar. Shoulders firmly on the ground. And from here, I'm going to maintain all of this position. And I'm just going to use my glutes to come up. And as I'm here, I'm really picturing extension. So I'm not going to let my hips roll under me like this because that's creating flexion. I'm just going to maintain extension here and just use those heels. Create a little bit of a compression effect as we go into extension. Everything's nice and aligned. You're turning those on. They might burn a little. Feel those glutes turn on. Lower down. So there you have it. There's 4 very simple, very easy relief positions. Those can also be used as corrective exercises in which there would be a lot more rigid structure as far as how many reps you're doing, how long you're going to hold them, how much rest period in between. But for these, we're just using them as a relief. So for that in mind, you're just going to use it for as much as you need. All right. So we're not going to push into it and hold for a set amount of time. You're just going to hold until you feel those muscles turn on. To get a little bit of a burn, you feel them turning on, and you really just feel that flexion reverse and going into extension. And there really is no maximum amount of times you can do this throughout the day. You can do them literally at any time. For my clients, I give them instructions like set a timer, do it every single hour, something like that. But we're looking to change the shape of the spine, so that's going along with their corrective exercise program. Okay, if you're just looking for relief from sitting too much, this is something that you can easily add into your day. It takes almost no time, and actually it's probably going to enhance your productivity, because if you're busy sitting there thinking about how your lower back is hurting, maybe your neck and shoulders are acting up as well, you're probably not getting as much work done as you think or you would like to. I hope you liked that video. I hope it provided some value. If it did, and you're curious about more relief type programs or more of a corrective exercise type program, diet and lifestyle as well, maybe you just want to find some purpose in life. Maybe you're stuck in something, an unhappy work environment. Maybe you're climbing the ladder to success, but you're not sure you're climbing it for the right people. In other words, your ladder's hanging on the wrong wall, which happens to a lot of us. And click the link in my bio. You can download a copy of my free guide, and in this guide it's gonna show you all the mind-body biohacking techniques that we utilize to get our mind, body, and soul in the same place at the same time, working towards our purpose. This guide, you're gonna find some tutorial videos, some simple techniques that you can utilize and put in play right away. There's also an option in there for you to contact me directly. If you wanna get a self-guided program, something's got over 4 hours of videos that covers all of my principles of foundational health, get your own personal corrective exercise program for your back pain and postural and structural stability. It's at your own pace, it's guided by you. You get 3 workout programs, plus, like I said, 4 hours plus of my foundational health videos. If that's something you're interested in, click on the link in my bio, email me direct, tell me you're interested in my self-guided exercise program, and you and I will set up a call. I'm just gonna take a brief look at you, take a look at your dynamic posture, your static posture, and I'll set you up with the right program just for you. So thank you again for watching this whole video. Please like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you think would find value in it. Until next time, peace, much love, and live well.